Oh, hello. It is me, your boy. What's up, Dead Pixel? You will know something about Kubernetes once we're done with this. It is an old Greek word. You're giving away all the goodness right up front. How's everyone doing tonight? I'm trying to still get set up here. Let me move all my stuff around. Hopefully the sound is all good. Didn't get to do anything. Oh yeah. Sorry. This was just on my computer, and I needed to change it from the Jack Black background that I had for yesterday's stream, and it felt right, but now it feels wrong. Now that the stream has started, it looks much more sinister than I remember it looking. But yeah, it's Pennywise. Let me get set up. So tonight's gonna be fun. Well, maybe. So we're gonna be diving into some Kubernetes tonight. We're gonna be using Minich. So we're actually gonna get started pretty quickly tonight because it takes a little bit to get Minich kind of installed, and we just want to make sure we get through some stuff. We're gonna be going through a general Kubernetes kind of tutorial to set up a Guestbook app because it has a few different things. But again, high level tonight, we'll be talking about some of the things that we talked about last time during the intro. We'll rerun over those slides, just those general concepts of what Kubernetes is. Hopefully, we can kind of get your mind wrapped around what it is conceptually and really start to see how it works as we get kind of hands-on we're going to be running kubectl commands or kubectl, whatever you want to say, to kind of run some commands against it to deploy deployments and services and things like that. So we're going to get going. I'm going to pull back up the slides, same slides from last time, again, because we're just going to run through that again. Actually, I still have it open right here. Let's close everything to the right. Let's share it. Anyone with the link can view. Go over here if you want to join in and take a look at what you've already seen. Let's just run through just the orchestration, just the Kubernetes piece of it again. Actually, we'll talk about specifically orchestration again, and then we'll run through the rest. Let me just get a little bit of coffee. Artisanal coffee. Also, your man's right there. So,
what's up, guys?
Terrence, someone asked me, someone mentioned in the chat yesterday, I don't think you saw it, but they're like, oh, Terrence sticks around for the Python stuff, but he's never around for the DevOps stuff. And
because Terrence is clueless when it comes.
See, Terrence is this is why DevOps gets paid the big bucks, because this is what people do to us. They leave us out to dry. Wow. It's like, nah, wow. No, I'm joking. What's up, Cophobia? Welcome to the channel. How you doing tonight? Having a good time? First off, I just learned about these emotes. Like, I knew the emotes existed, but I didn't know that I got emotes. I have like custom emotes I can add in. So I'm definitely gonna get some emotes made. So if anyone knows anyone who's a great artist, I would happily commission some artwork from them. Also, I put it out on Twitter and a bunch of people responded. I'm gonna put a bunch of feelers out to all those places that people gave to me, but I'm looking for a dope tattoo artist. Well, not an artist. I have an artist. I'm looking for a dope tattoo creator, someone who can draw. I have a very specific. Why is it? Hold on. This is like bothering me because it's like. Nah, it's like auto-focusing over and over again.
Oh, that's square.
I feel like it does this all the time, but I don't know how to work a camera. Better? Worse? I'll leave it for now, I'll fix it in a second. But I'm looking for someone to help me design a pretty cool tattoo that I kind of want to get for my 30th. I'm actually gonna finish off a sleeve. You guys can't see, but I have a lot of my shoulder and arm done. I kind of want to finish out a sleeve, but we'll see. Nope. You guys will get a live reveal of that. Okay. Cool. Let's talk about container orchestration a bit real quick. And then we'll hop right into Minich and kind of get started. So we talked about container orchestration before. This is the automatic process of managing and scheduling the work of individual containers based on microservices within multiple clusters. So this is just the act of exactly what you see the person doing in the picture, of being able to automatically manage kind of where containers are, what they're running, how many there are, and things like that, without having to intervene using all of those Docker commands that we learned. We learned about some of the things tonight. We're on to Kubernetes. Besides that, you saw a little bit about how much Kubernetes. Actually, let's Google this again. Kubernetes Docker engineer. I didn't even know that's a real job title, but Kubernetes salaries. Kubernetes salary. Oh, the average Kubernetes Docker engineer salary in USA is $150 per year. So I'm giving you the goodness here. And that's the average one, or 76, almost $77 an hour. Entry level positions at about 92, while experienced workers can make up to 206. So again, this is a very lucrative technology that we're going to be going over, and that's why in the one part you're really going to get with this, we can't dive too far. Stephen E, a sidecar container is a container that sits off to the side of another container to provide it some resources. It's basically like a extra little container to allow functionality in another container to work. There's a number of applications that you can use these to solve a lot of different problems. Yes. So like this one is just showing an example of like a web server. The web server will run in a single container. So that will be something like Nginx or Apache. And it would actually be, processing the incoming data and serving the data. But instead of logging straight to the file system here, it would actually use a sidecar. So it would have another container that kind of extends the functionality of the web server container that does actually all of the logging. So it goes in the file system, and this is kind of where all the processing and thing is done here. So you kind of offload a little bit of that to the sidecar container. You can use this for a number of things. So sometimes it's used to extend functionality. Sometimes it's used to just separate functionality. Because again, this is kind of functionality extension. These logs go to this file system. But they may not be easily ingestible for some reason. But they're also used to there are sidecars that and it's weird to call them a sidecar, but that actually make an application actually function. It can't actually be run without a proper sidecar container. But yes, they kind of just run alongside another one. Let me see if I can find another good. What did I even type in? Oh, I feel like I typed in the letter S and this popped up. So I think Google is listening to me. But yeah, there's a number of like articles out here on sidecars and kind of how to use them properly. We're not going to be doing any sidecar stuff tonight, but again, it's often used to kind of extend functionality or separate out functionality, but it kind of goes hand in hand with another container. Cool. That was a good question. That was a really good question. All right, so we talked about this being big money over here. All right. So we talked about the kind of key Kubernetes concepts. We're gonna talk about a lot of these things tonight. Pods are kind of the smallest unit of deployment inside of Kubernetes. It consists of one or more containers. We will go over pods. We'll be deploying all this stuff tonight. But that just remember that it's kind of the smallest unit of deployment. Consists of one or more containers that are guaranteed to be co-located on the host machine. On the host machine and can share resources. Replica sets, so we're gonna get into deployments and things here, but replica sets are a grouping mechanism that allows you to kind of create replicas of these pods, so that you can easily use them to scale up and scale down. There's some cool, there's some interesting functionality with that. Replica sets, you can actually, using a replica set, setting a replica set to 1 actually will ensure that Kubernetes actually keeps that service up no matter what. It causes it to handle these pods in a different way. So yeah, replica sets are cool. We're going to talk about replica sets. Services allow you to kind of expose these applications as well. So services are super important, and you'll see that real time. And namespaces, you'll see namespaces as well. Not only can you use it for kind of the separation of environments like development, and test, and production, they also use various namespacing methods to separate out their different services and different resources that they have in Kubernetes. And again, all those are just words. Let's go ahead and let's get hands on. I'm just gonna Google. Actually, I think if you type in exclamation point Minikube. This should still be available. Maybe Minikube. Come on. Come on, did I spell it right? No, it's not available. That's fine. I will I'll get it and I'll make it available. Minikube installation. So to use Minikube, Minikube basically you know what? Before we get into Minikube, let me show you something. Let's do a little bit of draw.io real quick. A little bit of draw.io. What's up, D-Flare? How are you doing tonight? Great new diagram, blank document, create it. Root folder's fine. All right, so high level first, kind of just about the structure of Kubernetes. There's actually a lot of different tools and resources required to make sure Kubernetes works. We're not gonna dive into all those tonight at all because it'll be very confusing. But let's take this box here and let's put this here. So this is this is a Kubernetes. I think they call it a services. I think they call it like a services worker or something, or just we're gonna call it manager right now. We'll Google it real quick. I never remember the like default, the actual names for some of these things. We'll look it up in a second. But this is so Kubernetes basically uses a kind of centralized server to kind of manage the state of your thing. So we talked about infrastructure as code. We talked about kind of how you could declare your state. Kubernetes is the same way that we did things in Terraform, same way that we did things in Ansible, same way that we did things with Docker already. Kubernetes is the same way. We're gonna write some YAML to the same way that we wrote some YAML in Docker Compose, and we're gonna declare our state. So it's called declarative state management. Maybe I'll put this up here. Oh, declarative state management. So, and actually, I search shapes and maybe like paper. Yeah, here we go. We're doing some declarative state management. Wow, that's not what I want. And you write all that here in your YAML files. Oh man, weird. This is what the iPad would be good for, but I don't have the thing to plug it in. But yeah, so you declare it. You kind of push it in here. And basically, this thing is running a bunch of different services that will go ahead and manage these things. So a Kubernetes cluster will have, how did that get there? Kubernetes cluster will have a couple of different things. It'll have a bunch of different servers. So let's start with, we'll have 4 servers. So this server right here is just managing the Kubernetes services. It's taking in what you have, and this server is the thing that's actually making sure that your cluster is all good and set up the way that you declared it. All these servers are part of the cluster. They all are kind of operating as one unit. So here's what happens. Just show a little connection between all of these really quick. There we go, and let's grab one out of the box. Let's send it over here. Okay, so all of these things here are running something called a kubelet. And these are little task runners. And actually, I think all these are called workers. Pretty sure that's the proper terminology. Oops. Copy this. Can I? It's harder to use than I thought. There we go. VV. These are all workers, and they're all running kubelets. So again, these are all just servers. These are your EC2 instances. They're just servers. They're computers that you're familiar with, and they're all running these little kubelets on here that can interact, that kind of take commands basically from this services manager. There's a kubelet on all of these, and let's say over here in our declarative state management file, let's say we wanted application 1, and we wanted it to have, you'll basically set it up where you would say application 1 is this image. So we can say the image is Nginx, and we want replicas, we want 5. All right. But also it's got application 2, And the image for that is going to be WordPress. And the replicas are going to be 3. Okay, so this is you declaring your state. What's up, Visual Studio? Welcome to the channel. I didn't see the raid. I'm sorry, the sound didn't overtake me. Thank you for bringing the raid. Thank you for bringing the party to the channel. We're learning a lot about Kubernetes tonight. We're learning as much as we can learn about Kubernetes tonight in 22 minutes. So welcome. Stevie, I'm not going to cover Helm tonight. We'll talk about Helm. I'm not going to go into Helm. We'll talk about what it is, but I'm not going to go into Helm. But yeah. Someone asked something about coronavirus. The university said to go online due to coronavirus. Yeah. I think they closed Towson and a bunch of stuff over here in Maryland, like almost indefinitely, like for a couple of weeks. And they're talking about going online after after their spring break. So that's pretty crazy. But yes, it's pretty dope. But yes, Visual Studio. You're not like Microsoft, are you? You can't be like Visual Studio. Why can't I click on your name? Oh, well, I'll check you out. Thank you again for the raid. Appreciate it. Welcome everybody from Visual Studios raid. Good to have you here. Get comfortable, sit back and relax and learn a little bit about some containers. Once it goes online, I can watch the stream more. That's awesome. You're right. That's what we should do. We should go to all the, now that everyone's going to be at home, they might as well come learn some tech.
Yes.
Like now that everyone's going to be at home, they might as well come and learn some tech. But cool. Okay. So yeah, we're here now. What's up, Dr. Buckwild? Welcome. All right, so each of these servers is running this kubelet, and this service is basically going to take, the services manager is going to take this file in, the YAML that we declared here. It's going to take that in, and it's going to make sure that all of that whatever we declared happens on this cluster. We don't care how it happens. We don't care what it needs to do to get there, but it's going to make sure they do that. Yeah, I didn't know Visual Studio had their own stream as well, and I'm trying to figure out if that's like what is that?
Microsoft Visual Studio.
Well, welcome. Welcome to the channel. What do you cover? We're about to look you up in a second. All right, so I said I wanted 5 Nginxs on here. So what it'll do is it may deploy these to different workers. Now, if I've described them in a pod accordingly or something, again, those will be co-located. But it may. But I said I wanted 5 replica sets. So everything in a pod, all the containers in a pod can have more than one container. Those are going to be co-located. But I have 5 replica sets. That's going to be 5 pods here. 5 different pods. So I could have 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, and 2 right here. And then there are 3 replica sets for WordPress. So I might have 1 here, 1 here, and 1 here. What's up, John Galloway? Welcome to the channel. Thank you for the follow. Conflict of interest, the streaming platform Microsoft released. One streaming, I mean, yeah. We just wrapped up a show, some Kubernetes. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks for coming through. That's awesome. It's always exciting. Welcome. I hope you guys enjoyed your Kubernetes session. Hopefully you can learn a little bit about mine as well. We're doing a full DevOps bootcamp. So we're actually in week 10 of the DevOps bootcamp. It's a 12-week bootcamp, a little more left. So we're just finishing up the container orchestration section of it. If anyone wants to know a little more about what that is, it's academy.mastermind.io. You can find out a little more information about what we have left. We also are running a Python bootcamp that runs on Mondays and Wednesdays, so you can check that out as well. So glad to have you here. Welcome. And so tonight we're going to be running through Kubernetes. We're going to be using Minikube to kind of just go through a kind of to kind of just explain the concepts a little bit better, but we're not going to go crazy deep. Okay, so it spreads around, this Kubernetes Services Manager spreads around these replica sets to a bunch of different servers here, any way that it wants to, any way that it can make work. And so even if one of these gets removed, like let's say this one gets deleted, and maybe 2 replica sets from Nginx were on there and 1 from WordPress, this Kubernetes Services Manager is now responsible for accounting for that and replacing them elsewhere. So again, we don't care about how the things happen. We just care that they do happen. So we declare our state. The Kubernetes Services Manager is there to make sure our state it remains how we defined it. And again, there are a lot of different services and things that are responsible for making that happen. That we're not going to dive into because it's just a lot for tonight. I just kind of wanted to high level talk to you about how that happens. This is also a reason why Kubernetes is a bit cumbersome for a lot of solutions. That's why I don't think it's always the answer, but it does work for a lot of things. It makes things really nice and really easy. So let's get started. Let's get started installing Minikube so we can understand. What Minikube does is it basically allows you to have a Kubernetes cluster of one node or one worker, basically. So a single one, and it allows you to manage that locally using VirtualBox. So excellent. So I'll share the link here. You want to hop on over and you want to check that out. You want to download this. It's a nice little walkthrough. I'll make it a little bit larger so we can see it. And you can read about the Minikube features. I don't think the Minikube features are going to be important right now. I think we should go through, kind of get hands-on with it, deploy some stuff, be able to see the stuff, and then we can dive a little bit deeper into what all that Minikube offers for us, because a lot of it also is what Kubernetes offers for you. So it's kind of there's a lot of stuff to kind of pick up in that space. So install a Minikube. We're gonna go ahead and click on it. I already have it installed, but I'm gonna actually install the most up-to-date version because it's been a while. So I'll let you get to this point to installing Minikube. Did you ever look into what Docker desktop? Yes, admin Kubernetes. Yes, it works. For when I was using it, it was working fine using kubectl command. I had to follow some guide to get some my kubectl commands weren't all working for some reason, and I had to follow this guide. But I also had an old version of Docker desktop, so it was working just fine as far as I could see. So I was able to check that out. So I think you'll be okay. What's up, Ty Cambo? Welcome to the channel. Thank you for the follow. What's up, Guard1OK? Welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for the follow. Appreciate that. Thank you for the kind words. Really keeps me going. So installing Minikube. Again, Minikube just installs basically it installs a VM for you inside of VirtualBox for you to be able to use, but it installs some other tools and services for you to be able to map whatever orchestrator or command tool you want to be able to use with your Kubernetes cluster. So we're going to be using kubectl or kubectl, however you want to pronounce it. We're going to talk about that in a second, but we can just go ahead and first install Minikube. So you can, run through the before you begin if you need to. In the Linux portion, we already got VirtualBox installed, so you're probably fine. If you're on Windows, it may ask for some other things, but I think we're fine here. I'm on Linux, so I already know that I'm good for this because I already have Minikube installed. So go through, just make sure everything's good with that. And then you can just grab it from here. So kubectl is its own thing. Again, it's a tool for managing Kubernetes clusters. It tells you how to install it. I already have it installed, but you can simply go through and click through these, and maybe there's a new version. Maybe I will download it just for time's sake so I don't get too far ahead of everybody. Let's move this on down. Actually, I'm not. Let's see what my version is. Just version. Is Minikube heavy on the PC? A bit, yes. You can adjust the settings as with any other virtual machine, but it's not super light. But I don't actually think it runs for what we're doing tonight. That whatever the bare minimum is should be fine as long as it can run. I think you'll be okay. Running with 2 cores, 4. Yeah, that's good. That's good. I think you're fine with that. No problem. Client version 1.16. So it looks like there's a more recent version. We can just do it for time's sake. Give you a chance to get everything installed. So the first command, again, we can talk about the Linux command just so we get up to speed. It's basically going to just download the kubectl binary for us. I'm pretty sure that's what I didn't actually look at the command, but it was a curl command. Is it in? Oh, right here. Yep, so just downloaded this, March 10th. The binary for us to be able to use. We could have downloaded a specific version. Then we can just make it executable. We learned about Chmod. Because it's a binary, we can just make it executable, and then we can push it into where it needs to go. So make it executable, and I could just type in which kubectl to see where mine is, user local bin, and then I could move kubectl, that's right here, to /user local bin, and it'll basically replace the one that was there. And why did that not work? Because we need to do sudo, and there we go. So that should give me, if I do kubectl again, let's make sure it still works. And if we type in version, come on, there we go. So now I have 1.17.3, I had 1.16 before. Yes, you guys all taught me sudo bang bang during the Linux section. So we did a whole 4-part Linux series. My problem is that for some reason, I'm a pretty avid Linux user. I've been using Linux for years, and my muscle memory doesn't tell me to do sudo bang bang now that I've learned to do that. I don't know why. I've worked a lot of places. I've never seen anyone do it, so it was exciting to learn on stream that I could do that, and my muscle memory is not good with it. But yeah, I've definitely been scolded for not doing it before. Why does the unable to connect show when doing version? Oh, probably. I'm assuming because it's looking for a. I'm assuming. I don't know this for sure. I'm assuming it's looking for a Kubernetes setup to connect to actually be able to push commands against. I'm assuming, and we don't currently have that set up. I can't remember to insert sudo ever. So I do sudo bang bang a lot. Yeah, I do always forget to type sudo. So I'll commit it to muscle memory one day. I'll definitely commit it to muscle memory one day for sure. Also runs on nodes and wants to check the version there. Okay, yeah. Okay, I didn't know that actually. Or did I? Well, I didn't know that's why I gave the unable to connect to server, but I think it will not return that once we actually set up Minikube and have it work with this with kubectl. All right, so we did that. So get that installed. Make sure you're good to go. Could have used the package manager here. Looks like you can use Homebrew if you like as well. So go ahead and get that installed. Install a hypervisor, KVM or VirtualBox. Again, we installed VirtualBox, so you should be good to go there already if you've been a part of the stream for a little while. VirtualBox is also pretty common. I wouldn't recommend doing KVM on your personal computer, to be 100% honest. All right, so assuming you have VirtualBox already installed, we can go ahead and we can install the Minikube package. What's up, James J? Welcome to the channel. Thank you for the follow. Good to have you. So using a package, so we could go to the releases page, or we could do a direct download. I do, in fact, look at this, check this out, y'all. So for anyone who's new to the stream, what you may not know is that the stream PC that I'm using, the actual PC that I'm using, is in fact using Ethernet. So that's always been good to go. But we've had a lot of trouble with our network, with our wireless network in here, when we're trying to download large packages from the laptop that I'm actually doing the work on. And check this out. Look at these speeds. We're on top of the world right now. I can download anything that I want because I did get Ethernet working. Ooh. I don't even know what we're gonna do. Like, we can download stuff so much faster now, and it's not gonna break you can see how we're downloading a bunch, and it does not break our mouse and keyboard connection. I'm running a virtual KVM so I can manage both computers at once as well. And it would, whenever we downloaded something large, it would basically break the Synergy server that I'm using for this. So super annoying. Yeah, like honestly, like it's pretty fast over here, so that's good. All right, so for work, I ended up using Terraform to automate Jenkins installation on the cluster in Azure. Pretty cool. That is cool. That's really cool. Even though I don't like Jenkins, you guys know my hate for Jenkins. Or maybe you don't. Maybe we haven't gotten to the CI portion yet, which I think is next week. I don't like Jenkins. Even though Jenkins is great, I just don't like Jenkins. And I'll tell you why once we get there. And I wonder if it will work on VMware. I think I've seen a post on getting this to work on VMware. I think, but I'm not 100% sure. All right, what is better than Jenkins? So depending on your use case, it may be nothing. Jenkins is mature. Jenkins has been around for a while, but in the new, especially because we're talking about Kubernetes right now, in the new container world, I really like the kind of newer way people are approaching CI with Circle CI or Travis CI or GitHub Actions. They're a little bit simpler. There's a lot less overhead, a lot less management for most things that you need to do. Jenkins is great because it's super extensible. You can make Jenkins do anything that you need. Whereas like Circle and Travis they definitely have their limitations, but yeah, it's okay. It works. If you've ever had to manage a Jenkins server itself, they're hell to manage. But that's any big Java-based thing is usually tough to manage. So it's just a little bit of a fatigue from having to do that. But it works. Jenkins works. I don't hate Jenkins at all. Oh, well, not. I don't like working on Jenkins, but it's not a bad product. It's definitely not a bad product. All right, cool. So you can direct download Minikube if you want, or you can do it from a package. I think I downloaded the last one from a package, so I'll do that again. I think I did it from a .deb. Your choice. I think I have a much older version. I'll download this. We will install it via the command line. I don't think I've ever showed you guys how to install a Debian package from the command line. But now I'm going to show you. So to do that, we're going to do sudo dpkg-i, bunch of random crap in here. Oh, Minikube. Oh, I guess we did do it like this last time. So the -i is for install, and we're going to use dpkg to install this. That 1.8. Is that what we wanted? Did I want that? Oh, I went too far. Yeah, that's what I wanted. All right, so it looks like it's setting up Minikube 1.8.1. So it looks like it installed that for me. I think we're good to go there. You can confirm installation. So I can do Minikube start VM driver equals driver name, which for us should be VirtualBox, I believe. Let's go ahead and do that. Again, sorry if you hear my mouse squeaking. It's very annoying. The scroll wheel squeaks, but I'm gonna put up with it because it's a great mouse. Actually, I can probably just do Minikube start. It might pick it up by default. Okay, Minikube version 1.8.1 on Ubuntu 19.10. Automatically selected the VirtualBox driver. Other choices will be Docker or none. Error getting primary CP, could not find master node. Minikube is exiting due to an error. If the above message is not useful, open up an issue. Now, this may be because I just upgraded it. So we're gonna have to fight through this really quick. That's why I probably shouldn't have done that. But let's see what that is. I'm just gonna copy and paste it because I don't know. I don't use Minikube often, and this is 3 days ago. That sounds nice. So getting this. If we remove the Minikube directory created for 1.6, it starts. All right, cool. So they simply went rm-rf.minikube. Actually, which directory were they in? They didn't say where. RM user local bin start. I can do a search for this. But I wonder where. Hold on. Doing a little bit of troubleshooting right now. I don't think there's anything in there. Oh, is it a Razer mouse? No, it's not a Razer mouse. It is the Glorious Gaming Model O, actually. And I never thought I cared if a mouse was light or not. But as many of you know, I'm trying to become not seriously. This is absolutely a joke. But the only game I really play right now is Overwatch, and I'm not very good at it. But it helps me in my pursuit to become a better person, a better player, not a better person. Oh, it's in my home directory. Thank you. Should have thought about that. Is it there? This is the slowest way ever to. Okay, cool. Let's rm-rf. All right, and let's go ahead and run our Minikube start again. Okay, so this is what you should have got if you had gone and ran the Minikube start when I did. It'll go through, it'll download images to be able to spin up your kind of master node off of. I have a G Pro wireless and like a lot. So I do use a few other mice. I had some kind of Corsair wireless mouse, which was really good. I liked it a lot, but it was really heavy, like really heavy. I didn't notice for a long time. So I still use that sometimes. And I use a Logitech MX Master 2 or something like that when I'm video editing because it has like the thumb buttons and the thumb scroll wheel. But usually I like to use this, but the mouse, I mean the wheel just started squeaking recently, so it's kind of annoying, but it's all good. That only must be components they use. Yeah, probably. Is T-Bell good at Overwatch? No. Terrence is not. He is not good at Overwatch at all. Terrence is not good at video games. I don't know. I think he left. He might have left. Was back still here. So we'll ask him as soon as he comes back in here. He's not good at video games at all. I watched him try for a second. He's not good at all. What's up, Go Ahead 812? Welcome to the channel. Good to have you here. All right, so this part is going to take a little while. This is still on the Minikube start. Again, actually, let's open up our virtual box so you can see what's happening here. Ignore this. This is actually that we're not gonna mess with these right now. These are just old VMs that I had installed here. This was the old Minikube. This is the old Minikube instance. So it's probably setting up a new virtual box for me. A virtual machine for me. So preparing, ready. kubectl is now configured to use Minikube. Actually, I would assume to see. Hold on. Let's see. I would assume I would see one of these here, but let's see if this works. Let's see what happens. Let's go back up to our installation guide, and we did the Minikube start. Everything looks good. And then it wants us to hop right into a deployment. We're not gonna hop right into a deployment yet, actually. If I do version right now, what happens? Okay, so you see how it is, this time it does not give us, welcome back. People asked if you were good at Overwatch, and I told them you were awful.
I'm trash.
Yeah, okay, he admits he's trash.
Garbage person.
But you can see this time it does not give us the could not connect, because we do in fact have a, there is a VM kind of set up for this. That it can connect to. So it's working a little bit differently now. So what we're gonna do actually is, I'm not gonna use this. There's a Kubernetes Minikube a tutorial. What's it called? It's like a Guestbook. A Guestbook app that I think is just the good ordering of things, and we can talk about the things as we go through them. Guestbook tutorial, I think, and it's on the Kubernetes site. Here we go. I'll share this. We're gonna run through this real quick. I think it's gonna be good. Mouse curls, just gotta do mouse curls. That's fair. That's fair. I mean, when the mouse is this light, you don't gotta do mouse curls. You just, just the flick of the wrist, All right. So what are we going to be working on right now? So Kubernetes gives you this kind of tutorial run through. This is nice because at the end we'll be able to see an application, but we'll also get to hit the major points of Kubernetes. I talked about there being a lot of different pieces with Kubernetes, but there's some main concepts you can hit and to really start to understand those, to understand how this stuff works out. So this tutorial is deploying a PHP Guestbook application with Redis. If anyone who doesn't know what Redis is a like in-memory like database caching layer. In-memory data structure store uses a database. It's a cache. So this is going to allow us to save data without having to have an actual persistent database. It's a pretty popular application, commonly used very heavily in containerized applications. Really helps you to increase performance, ease of use. But it's a guest book written in PHP. What's a guest book? You ever gone to a wedding or something and you wrote on the little book that said, "Hey, my name is Aaron and I was here today. So happy to have been here." That's what we're going to be making, deploying it. The application's already created. We don't really care about writing the application right now. Maybe one day we'll write our own applications to deploy to this. But we're just going to learn how to get this all set up. It has a few different pieces, so it's a good example for what we're going to do. It's going to have a Redis kind of master instance, as well as some Redis slave instances. So it's going to have one kind of read write area and some other ones to kind of fall back on to that aren't written to, but only read from. And then it's going to have some web front end instances. So that PHP guestbook application is going to be a completely different thing. So we're going to have the masters, the slaves, and the multiple web front end instances. So objectives is to start these things up, start up a guestbook front end, and expose and view the front end service. Again, this is a great concept for what Kubernetes kind of is and what you have to think about. And going through this, we'll explain all of that. So very simple. It's a simple tutorial that you can run through again on your own. There's not a lot of crazy stuff in here. You can copy and paste, and it'll be super nice. So before you begin, you need to have a Kubernetes cluster, which we do ourselves, a single worker cluster, single node cluster, but we do in fact have one. And you need to have the kubectl command line tool configured to communicate with that cluster. Check out, remember when this spun up, it said exactly here, the last line, kubectl is now configured to use Minikube. So we're good to go already. No stress, super nice. So if you do not already have a cluster, you can go ahead and go back to where we were and run through that again. You can also use these to play with Kubernetes. So I'm gonna share these with you. These are other resources. Feel free to go through them to be able to practice a little bit of the Kubernetes, the K8s, the K8s, however you want to say it is fine with me. Kates? The Kates. K8s. There are 8 letters here. K, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then an S. Kates. But I don't know. I just end up saying Kubernetes because I'm tired of people arguing with me over which one it is. The same way people are very polarized over whether or not it's kubectl or kubectl. I hate kubectl. I hate saying kubectl.
Kubectl.
I hate it.
Sounds good. It's the cuddle part you don't. Yeah, it's like it's I don't know. It sounds like just kubectl.
Yeah, yes. So that's what people should be saying is kube control, but they don't say that. I've never heard anyone say that in a real conversation. Most people say kube cuddle, and it bothers me every single time. But I'm +5 for control. I think control is better, but I've been forced to stay in the bounds of what society wants me to say. But maybe we'll make a push. Kube central, okay, let's try that one. What's up, live coding? Welcome to the channel. The real debate is how you pronounce. You're right, SQLite. I say SQLite. SQLite.
No, I'm not saying that.
See, man, this is tough. These are the reasons why tech is really hard. Like, to be 100% honest with you, you can be a thought leader for this topic. Excellent. We will be the thought leading community on this. But I like that on the pronunciation of acronyms and weird tech words. Cool. All right. We're all set up. We're all ready to go. I think we can go ahead and do that. So yes, thank you. Perfect. And this is why, Adam, I think it's kubectl. I have always said systemctl, and I've heard other people say systemctl, but I'm from a sysv lifestyle, so I'm a part of the Etsy init.d lifestyle, but I've heard people say, I've never heard anyone say system cuddle or I've heard people say system control. I'm okay with system control. I'm not okay with system cuddle. So why would it be kubectl? Everyone's trying to make up new stuff, and I don't like it. Oh yeah, see, PostgreSQL. That's PostgreSQL is what I say. Postgres. If you write Postgres, I'm not pronouncing PostgreSQL. Like it's just Postgres. I just say Postgres when it comes there. And if I must do that for you, then it's going to be PostgreSQL because that just makes sense to me, even though it might be wrong. Cuddle sounds dumb. I agree. It's just Postgres. Oh, it's GIF. It's definitely GIF. It's not GIF. It's 100% GIF. And I like it. Control. Control with a K is even better. I like it. Cube control with a K. SQL or SQL. SQL. I say them both. I say them both. It depends on. Yeah, I say them both. SQL or SQL. I think I say SQL more than I say SQL, but I say them both. All right. So the first thing we're gonna do is I think it's gonna actually. Oh man, I thought this one. Okay. All right. So remember I told you that the smallest unit of deployment was a pod. A pod can be one container. It can be many containers. Excuse me. Sorry. The first thing it's going to have us do is actually deploy a deployment. So a deployment is the preferred method of managing your containers, kind of the way that your things are set up. A deployment will allow. Setting up a deployment will actually allow Kubernetes to have better state management over what goes on inside of the things that you're running. Rather than deploying a pod, it'll have the ability to make sure those things are up, make sure the way that it spreads it across its compute resources. It allows for easier management of the cluster or of the containers that are deployed. So it's going to have us start with this. The deployments, the idea of a deployment resource is actually way higher up that I wanted to. Well, not way higher, but it's higher up. So I kind of wanted to start at pods. I was hoping to start it at pods, but we can break that down. It may make more sense to do this. So let's take a look really quick at what this YAML looks like. So we took a look. Last time we were using. What's that thing called? We were using Docker Compose. Let's go over there really quick to look at our Docker Compose YAML. Now let's compare it a bit to the YAML that we have here. The documents, mastermind, streams. I always forget. I'm never going to remember the full file path. DevOps is because we just do random stuff here. Docker feels right. All right, Docker Compose.yaml. So we've got some YAML here. Nice clean YAML here. And if we go up, we've got some YAML here as well. So we're gonna create a file. We could actually deploy this as is without downloading this, but we're not gonna do that. We are going to use this really quick. We're gonna copy this real quick. So let's take a look at it. Let's break it down a little bit once we get it in there. So we'll copy this. The first thing it wants us to do is create that Redis master instance. So that in-memory database that we were talking about, we're going to create the master deployment of that. So it includes, specifies the deployment controller that runs a single replica Redis master pod. So break that down. That actually uses a lot of words that we just talked about. So a deployment controller, remember I said a deployment is kind of a mechanism to allow easier management of these containers and the services that you want to deploy. It runs a single replica set, replica set of Redis master to prod. Remember I talked about replica sets, and I said that you could actually set, as long as you set the replicas to 1, because of what replica sets do, it will ensure that this service is always alive. It'll make sure that the service management, the service manager in Kubernetes says, hey, I always need to have at least one service of this. So make sure no matter what happens, that one is always up, which is really nice. One master pod, and I told you that pod is a collection of containers that's going to be co-located on the same host machine. We only have one host here. So we're going to copy this. We're going to paste it. We're going to make our own file here. Let's go back one. Go back. Let's make a directory. Let's do K8s to make it shorter. Let's get in there. What do they call it? They call it Redis master deployment.yaml. So we'll give it the same name. So let's vim Redis master deployment.yml. All right, we have some YAML. I'm always interested about the debate on whether or not to make the extension YAML, YML, or YAML. I think the actual spec of the actual structured markup language is actually supposed to be YAML with an A, but most things I see nowadays are using YML. Doesn't really matter, they both work. I do think there are some caveats depending on like which version of like Linux or Unix you're using, but like for the most part, it should matter on most modern computers. But let's break down what we have here. Break it down. Okay, API version, apps v1. So this is just with the Kubernetes API version it needs to be using. That'll be fairly standard. We'll just kind of leave that alone. Kind. So there are a few different kinds of resources. We'll see a few more of them later as we kind of get down through the tutorial. This one is a deployment. These are the kind of the types of resources. Again, there are things like services. We talked about that in the with the slide. Services. There are pods. There are a bunch of different things. We'll talk about what the differences between them in a second as well. So the metadata now. Metadata is just a little bit of structured data that kind of gets tagged along with these things, and it allows for it gets attached along with these things, and it allows for easy finding of certain things. It's commonly used for tagging. So this is actually very important in Kubernetes. This is how Kubernetes kind of manages things with these labels right here. Labels are very important in Kubernetes, but we give it a name of Redis master and a label, of application Redis. Which is cool. Then we're going to drop down into the spec here, and this is going to really tell us what we have as a part of this deployment. We're not going to talk about selector or match labels, but you can see here that you have an app here. You have a role. So roles can be important because you can use these also to determine what gets deployed, when it gets deployed, like how to manage things together. You can manage all aspects of a role together if you need to. You can give it these tiers. There's a couple different options for tiers. I'm not going to dive into that either. I don't think that's important right now. What I do think is important to get into these replicas. What are replicas? Again, these are those replica sets. As long as you have at least one, this will ensure that Kubernetes says, hey, keep these, like this deployment needs to stay up. This set of pods needs to stay up. I need to always have at least one or whatever number that I put in there. And we can raise that to whatever we want. And again, these are pods. So just kind of every time you hear replicas, think about what pods are, and that is what you are replicating. So it could go anywhere in the cluster, but on any one of the workers in the cluster, but all of the containers in that pod will be co-located on the same server. And then you kind of get, a lot of this starts to look like duplicate data, and it's duplicate data, but it is served different purposes. Again, we're not going to dive super deep into that right now. I don't think we need to break that down because I think it's confusing. You don't need to remember it. But what you do get down here is to the spec for your containers rather than your selector. So the way that YAML, the way that JSON works, is, the spec here is for selector and match labels. This is kind of setting up how Kubernetes is kind of going to be able to read the data here and like know what to manage. But the spec down here is a different, it's a spec inside of the spec basically. And what it's going to allow for, and it's also a spec inside of the selector, but it'll allow us to define some containers here. We'll give it a name. And so this right here probably looks just like our Docker Compose YAML that we've seen before. So this is going to look a little more familiar to you. So containers, we're going to name it master. We're going to give it an image. Remember, we talked about how you could use an image or you could build. So you give it an image here. This is an image that we're going to be using just for this. They're providing this for us. from, this container registry. And then we can set the resources here. So we can set up, how much memory and CPU is available. And then ports. We talked about ports in the Docker Compose section. This is so that we can have some exposed container ports. So not important in this setting that you know how to write the YAML for Kubernetes. We don't care about that right now. What we do, I just want you to get your eyes on, a Kubernetes deployment YAML. The actual run through, if we actually look at it, it actually doesn't even want you to copy and paste this. You can actually deploy a remote file. So we could actually deploy this file without ever pulling it down to our computer. I just wanted to bring it down so we could just take a look at it a little bit easier with some color, things like that. But you could actually not do that at all. And so we just want to get a higher level understanding of that. So it wants us to launch a terminal window, apply the Redis master deployment from Redis master deployment YAML file. So if we copy and paste this, it will in fact deploy those things. So, but because we did copy the file down, I'm going to specify the file instead. But you can actually specify a remote file if you want. So let's practice our Kubernetes commands. So we'll save this, and I'll say kubectl apply -f, and I'll give it the name, which is Redis master deployment.yaml, and I will apply this. And this is one of the biggest things that I love about Kubernetes. Kubernetes is fast. It's much faster than something like ECS. The speed at which it deploys is great. Let's use kubectl to start gathering information about what we're doing, so we know what's going on. That's most of the time. Kubernetes administrators, when you're managing Kubernetes, you're going to be spending your time setting up these YAML files, configuring things how you want them, describing how you want them, but you're also going to be spending time gathering information from the cluster to figure out things that are going on, things that you want to change. So we're going to go through and we're going to learn a little bit of a few kubectl commands to start gathering information about what's going on in our Kubernetes cluster. So let me check out the chat real quick.
Here, I'm gonna learn some Kubernetes here.
Yeah, there we go. This guy, software people, man. Software people. They just not. But Kubernetes is like, I find that Kubernetes is very approachable for software engineers.
All that stuff
in my experience.
All of it.
Mine too. Most people don't really know how Kubernetes works, including myself. I'm still. I mean, I know a good amount about Kubernetes, but like, it's a big thing. But cool. I'm a new subscriber. It's possible to access the Google Slide Classroom. Yes. Let me give you the slide link right now.
Very hot. It's very.
What'd you say?
That Chipotle hot.
Oh yeah, it's hot. You're hurting.
It's really hot, dude.
Here goes the link for tonight's stuff. If you do !Discord, this will allow you, if you're a subscriber, it'll allow you into the Discord. There's some codes that are pinned in the Discord. They should get you into the Google Classroom. Someone stated yesterday that they were having trouble with it. So I did not get a chance to check that out, but let me know if you can get in. And if not, I'll check that out because it should be working. The codes have not changed at all. But cool. Let's see. Visual Code has spoiled me with creating YAML files. I agree. I do agree. It helps a lot. Luckily, I do have some visual, as you can see here, I do have some visual aids. Oh, interesting. I don't. What? I wonder why not. Usually I have some visual aids. I have some dots and some little arrows to do tabs and spaces to know what's going on. But yeah. Appreciate that, Stephen Yeet. Thank you for the sub. You've been a loyal a channel member. But thanks for the tier 1 sub. Really appreciate it. So much of DevOps is YAML. Yes, it is. I've heard people refer to DevOps engineers as the YAML jockeys before.
Whoa, that's harsh, bro.
It felt offensive, but I didn't know. I think the word jockeys I've heard people call people who do a lot of AWS work in the terminal. I've heard them call them terminal jockeys. I was like, it feels wrong, but like I don't know. But yes, it's a lot of YAML. It really is. YAML is greater than JSON. I agree with you, Blah7, 100%. Well, YAML is better than JSON. Yeah, YAML is better than JSON. It just is. But cool. So let's learn some kubectl, some kube control commands to kind of gather information about what we have going on here. Would you recommend a K8 cert over AWS cert? It depends on, like, people are just looking for, like, Kubernetes right now is like, AWS is hot, Kubernetes is like flaming hot right now. I don't necessarily think the cert is worth it. I'm going to study for the cert only because I want to learn some of the intricacies of, I don't really know, like, I want to learn some of the intricacies of Kubernetes that I currently don't know. I think the AWS certs are going to be a little more valuable in the industry and probably a little bit easier to get. I think the K8 cert is like, I don't think it's developed enough belief that it's great yet. Like, the AWS certs are good. Yeah, I mean, if you have the bandwidth, I would get both. But I wouldn't feel that, like, you don't need them. You definitely don't need them. But if it might help you, like, for me, I think studying for the Kubernetes one will allow me to have a few things to focus on, because if not, I'm gonna start trying to apply, like, I know enough about these things that I'm gonna start trying to apply it to what I already know and build stuff that I already know with it, and I'm gonna miss out on some things in the beginning. I tend to skip the basics now for things that I know something about, and I kind of want to get some of the deeper basics there, but yeah. But cool, so we deployed that. So our kube control commands, you can use this. The first one I want you to know is get, even though the first one that you actually learned was apply, which allows you to apply these, it allows you to apply those, the state defined, the state management files that you defined earlier. It allows you to apply those and to make sure Kubernetes goes off and does what you need it to do. But the kubectl get command, this will allow you to get specific information about the various resources that are available. So first one we can do is all. So that get all thing actually delivers you back a deployment here. And so you see, you know, this section is deployments because it just says deployment.apps/Reddit master. This is actually a form of namespacing. Same thing here for services. So talk about those different kinds. When you think of kind, think of these things. So we have a pod here. We talked about pods. So we actually have one running pod that was kicked off via that deployment. That makes sense because we had one replica set here. And we can see the replica set down here. We had one replica, we asked for one, there's currently one ready, lets us know how long it's been up. Great. Yeah, so we have all this stuff. And then the service, we haven't talked about services yet. We are going to talk about services in a little bit when we get there. But there is a service. This one is actually the default service. You can see here that it's not like an apps.redis like the other stuff is, not mentioning Redis at all. This is simply the service from Minikube actually, but we'll talk about that later. We'll talk about that later as well. But that's how you kind of get everything. But this view can be pretty annoying when you have a bunch of things running, because Kubernetes, again, is used to, you know, do a lot of different stuff. So you can just specify like pods. If I just want to see what pods are running, I can see that my pods are running here. Redis master, 1 out of 1, it's running, hasn't restarted at all, so that's good. Same thing for a service. I can see that service is there. Same thing for deployments. And that's what we did. We actually did a deployment, and a deployment can manage, you know, all these other things. But we have our Redis master here, 1 out of 1. We have that, and then the last one, what is it? Can I just do replicas? Or is it replica? Or is it replica sets? I never remember. It's replica sets. So that's what you look for. I should have just looked up here, and it will show everything that you have available to you. So there you go. That's the first bit there. To be able to grab some information. You just want to be able to gather information. You can see, you know, the state of things, see if it's restarting. That can mean if it's restarting a bunch of times, that's because Kubernetes is trying to keep it up, but obviously something is wrong with your application where it keeps dying. So that could be an indication that something's wrong. So you can use that information to know what's going on. You can use this information to confirm that your deployment worked properly, all that. So again, for now, you can use that all if you want. If you want to just grab everything, you can go ahead and do that as well. Great. We can also, this is still Linux, even though we're doing some, you know, some container stuff. So you know that if you need kind of help seeing what stuff you have available to you with kube control, you can just type it in and it'll give you a list of all the cool things that you can do. So you can create one of those resources if you want. You can expose things. We'll talk about, again, we're gonna talk about services and stuff in a little bit. Run, set, there's a bunch of stuff in here. Explain, documentation of resources. And there's like a describe in here. But there's a bunch of different stuff that you can use to either manage or get information about things, which is super nice. So maybe take a look at that. Maybe try, just looking through, see what options you have available to you. Tonight, we're not going to use a bunch of these, but again, you do have a bunch of stuff available to you. And these things are very, very valuable. All right, government contracting. Yeah, get the cert. Yeah, for government contracting, the certs help a lot. To be honest, a lot because so the AWS certs in particular are valuable because companies are become part of Amazon's partner network, and they have a requirement that certain numbers for certain levels of their partner network, certain numbers of employees of the company have to be certified with various levels of certificates or certifications. So that's why people find those valuable. There's a lot of companies who will pay for your cert right out of the gate. So I would, again, I would get a cert strategically because that a company wants it from you, or I think they're good for getting your foot in the door as well. But they're not, if you're just trying to learn the stuff, I don't think they're necessary. I actually don't think they do a great job of proving that the stuff as well, but they can be used as a tool but I don't want you to expect them to be the kind of silver bullet to be able to kind of walk through the door somewhere. So that resources available will depend or scale depending on the cloud plan you have, or is it by container? So these are by container. These are all the stuff that we've been looking at here have to do with the things that we've defined rather than like we're not in the cloud right now, we're on my computer. Everything that you saw in kubectl is because we deployed this just now. It's all Redis stuff, so it'll scale depending on what we give to it, and we'll do that in a second. What's up, the Von Wav? How you doing? And I saw someone else just followed. I'll wait for your name to pop up. But welcome to the channel. So glad to have you here. All right, so let's move on a little bit further with the thing. Let's see if we can get some stuff set up. Mastermind was a DevOps engineer at a big bank, and I stumbled across your stream. Awesome. I think it would be interesting being a DevOps engineer at a big bank. Was it Cap One? I know Capital One has a pretty significant kind of cutting edge engineering sector. Yeah. They do heavy recruiting. They have a lot of turnover from what I hear. Was not C1. So yeah, besides that would be interesting. I think it would be interesting work trying to do kind of some DevOps stuff I've never done. It's been a while since I worked at a big company. The biggest company that I worked at was, I think, ZeniMax Media. I work for the government now, but like it's just not as big. Not the same. So I think it would be interesting. I've never kind of done that. Let's see. I was gonna go Capital One. Yeah, I've heard mostly good things about Capital One's engineering. That is a large term that has many meanings. Yes, 100%. That's absolutely true. We've talked about it numerous amount of times. It's kind of a catch-all now for anyone who does infrastructure, especially in the cloud. But yeah, 1,000%. It's definitely a catch-all. Okay, let's finish. Let's keep moving. We're still making good time. This isn't a super long thing, so we should be fine. Example. So we deployed this one, and we can do git pods to kind of see the pods that we have listed, but it's all good. Run the following command to view logs from the Redis master pod. So we could, pod name. Yeah, I was gonna say pod name can't be found. So kubectl logs -f pod name. I wonder if it's just Redis master. Oh, that's cool. So this is just going to pipe through the logs for Redis master so that we can see them. And that Redis is up and running and ready to go. Remember, this is the port that we exposed here. So it's all good. So we're all good there. Okay, so now it wants us to create a Redis master service. So you might be like, what do we just create then if we don't have a master service? That deployment was used to kind of deploy the pods that we wanted to specify and do a little bit of setting up of the metadata and kind of the labels and things that we're going to use. A service now needs to be used to, so remember, this is a direct line to what we've learned about Docker. That deployment so far, it like high level, very high level. Again, I know someone's going to come in with the, oh no, but this and that. No, high level. When you run a Docker run command on like an Nginx container and it's just running isolated by itself, it's running, it's there, it has ports exposed, but you can't do anything with it. You can't get to Nginx from the browser or anything like that, but it is running and it's serving data, it's waiting for connections, but it's isolated. That's kind of what happens when you kind of deploy a deployment, like in the pods they're there, they're up, they're ready, the ports are exposed, but they're kind of isolated. A service is necessary to basically make that thing accessible. A service is kind of a proxy, and it says it here, it proxies the traffic, to the Redis master. So you need both of these things to be able to kind of reach in from the outside. Again, there are caveats to all this. This is very high level most of the time, 99% of the time. Think about it like that. The deployment kind of is this isolated thing, and you need that service there to kind of get it. So it's kind of like that link that we set up or that port mapping that we set up, but a service is made to do that. And if you look at the service, you can see here, it's really only specifying, the name of the things that you want to mess with. And you can see that these labels and stuff match up to what we wrote before. So that's how Kubernetes knows what to apply it to. And then you can see it just looks like there's a port mapping here, a port to a target port, and some more of the selectors so it knows what to apply this to. So let's copy and paste this and let's deploy this service. And again, this is going to be what actually exposes this thing. So we have the deployment, now we have the service. I can pop the link in here. Sorry about that. There you go. If you want to follow along with the tutorial, give me a second to get up in there. I need some water anyway. I have a LaCroix right here.
There we go.
I have a lime LaCroix, but it's from last night.
So it's hot.
So it's room temp. It's here. I want to drink it. I want to pop it open, but I don't know. I gotta go with the still water. We're not fancy tonight. Maybe I'll whip out the sparkling in a little bit if I need to. Bless up, I love it. I'm gonna drink the LaCroix before the stream's over. Maybe we'll start doing no, I don't even know why I was gonna say. No, we're not gonna start doing anything. I was gonna say like a LaCroix chug at the end. No, that'd be gross. See, you called it. Am I at work? Yeah.
Burn our esophagus, bro.
Yes and no. I'm at work and not at work. This is our office. This is me and Terrence's office that we have in the same building of my day job. It's a co-working space. So I guess I am at work, but I'm also not at work at the same time. So it's kind of weird. Like I'm not in my main office. I'm not in my day job office. I'm in my own space that I have here. So you can't drink alcohol. I drink alcohol. We can drink alcohol. But I don't, because I'm cutting these pounds. It's working. I'm cutting the pounds. They're coming off.
Only have it in glass though.
Oh yeah. But for sure. How are you, Paradox? How are you allowed to stream at work office? I don't want to go home. Yes. There's a number of things which contribute to making this easier for me. One, my wife actually works here. She actually works for the co-working space that I rent space from. And she's also in a master's program, so she's always here. She's always doing homework. So it's fine. We just kind of live here. There's also a lot of free stuff like water and beer and snacks. That makes it easy not to go home. And I can't work I will get nothing done in the house. I'm really bad at it. And I need to do a bunch of stuff. So you'll see the pup in here a couple times. We usually bring the dog in. She's on this barking tip, and she's a Rottweiler. She's kind of scary. So
No, she's not kind of scary.
She's kind of scary when she barks. You never seen her go crazy. So it's kind of, I don't know. It's been interesting, but you'll see her in here. We basically live in this building, whether like during this time. It's all good. It's I have a good time here. My friends are here, but so yeah. Showers. So I go to the there's an Under Armour gym. There's an Under Armour gym around the corner. That's where I work out at. Very, very nice. It's called Under Armour Performance Center, and it gives you a hotel like showering experience. So my water bill at home is pretty low because that's where I shower.
Oh, you just shower in the gym?
Yeah, I work out and I shower. Yep. If I lived in PG County, I don't want to go home either. Well, first off, I live in Baltimore. But if you live in PG, you will want to go home because PG is really nice. There's $1 million homes. You can live in Woodmore. You can live in Woodmore Estates. You can live in Perrywood. You can live in you don't live in Treetop, but you can live in, there's a bunch of places that are nice. It's really nice. Laurel's cool. Laurel's in like 3 counties though. But yeah, Laurel's cool. All right, let's finish this up. We got way off track. Way off. So we have our deployment. Remember, those things are running, but they're a little bit isolated right now. Let's go ahead and let's get the service installed. The service is going to expose these things. It's going to create this proxy. You need to apply a service to proxy the traffic to Redis master. So that's what the service is going to do for us. Let's go ahead and create this. What do they call this? Redis master service.yaml. So vim redis master service.yaml. All right, paste that in. You can see this looks very similar to the last one. Same API version, I believe. The kind is now a service instead of a deployment. So now Kubernetes knows what to do with that. The metadata allows us to apply this metadata to this service. And then the spec allows us to select the metadata, the labels that match other things that match that deployment. So it'll know what to pick up and it's gonna apply this port mapping to it. So we're gonna save that. Pretty small amount of YAML there. And again, how do we apply stuff? We do our cube, control, apply, -F, and the file. And the file is Redis master service instead of deployment. And look how fast that was. Looks super fast. So it says it was created. We want to check if it was created. How do we check that? Kubectl. Get is the command that we're going to want to use. And we know this was a service. So we're going to type in services. And now we have, this was the only one there before. And now we have a Redis master one. It gives us a cluster IP address, no external IP address. And then the port that we did in the age. So looks like that. It's just that easy. You can just, define these things and go ahead and kick off a command to deploy this. And it was easily able to do that. Now, if we needed to, I could show you, we're not gonna jump forward. I'm pretty sure it's gonna show us later what to do. But we could, if we needed to test Redis itself and make sure Redis was exposed, we could go ahead and do that now. We would be able to actually utilize it, but Redis itself needs some, structured data and things like that I don't want to have to put together anything to push some stuff into there. We're going to go ahead and get the rest of the application kind of set up so that we don't have to manually kind of do all that stuff. But cool. We set that up. And we just basically ran through everything that they told us to do. Ours looks exactly like this. Redis master and the Kubernetes one that was already running. All right, so we got those two things going. We now have the Redis master deployment and the Redis master service that exposes the deployment. It basically sets up that proxy to proxy traffic requests to there. All right, so now we got the master. Now we got to get the slaves. So the read replicas basically for this to meet high traffic demands. And so there's a common paradigm with databases is to have a single read-write instance, because you don't want to be writing to multiple databases at once, because how do you keep them in sync? But you read and write to one, and you have replicas of that, read replicas of that one. That's kind of what we kind of have here in case we have a bunch of traffic. So let's take a look at this. This is actually very similar to the one that we already have. We're gonna copy and paste this, and then we're gonna take a look at it and see what's different. And what do they call this? Redis slave deployment .yaml. All right, so honestly, down to here, you've seen this. It looks very much like the master one, but you know, it's this role is different. All the way down here, the name is different. Obviously, the containers, but now we just have a new thing in here. But again, you've seen stuff like this before with the Docker Compose YAML, where basically for the slaves to work, we've got to pass in some environment variables. So we don't have to worry about this. This should set it up for us. And basically it's just going to use these environment variables to know what to grab from the master and kind of how to manage the data. This is Redis specific information, making sure Redis is set up properly, not necessarily Kubernetes, but just want to show you again, just get your eyes on YAML, see what it looks like, see the stuff that you could expect to have to write when you're doing the stuff yourself. But we'll go ahead and save that, and then we'll go ahead and deploy that. So this one is, again, what are we deploying this time? We are back to a deployment. So just like we did the first time, we're going to deploy this deployment now as well. So when we deploy it, let's look at what we have now. Get all. We have 1 pod, 2 services, 1 deployment, 1 replica set. After doing this, we should have 2 deployments, 2 pods, 2 replica sets here. Should. Let's see. kubectl. What are we doing? Apply. -f. Redis slave deployment.yaml. And very fast again. Everything was created. We get all, look at that, just creating some containers. Now, I said we should have 2 pods and 2 deployments and 2 replica sets. So these are right, but look at this. We have 3 here. 1 master, 2 slaves. Why do we think that is? Let's take a look back at our deployment file. Check this out. 2 replicas as opposed to 1. So now you can see how the replica applies to a pod. It will deploy a replica of the pods themselves. So there are 2 pods deployed for this, and that was super simple to do. So super nice. It's still creating, not done yet. Probably done now. And now these are running. Everything looks good. So think about what we did the first time. We did the deployment, but we had to expose that service via, you know, a proxy, which was the service. So we had to deploy the service. Now we did another deployment with the slaves. So we probably are going to need to do the same thing and deploy a service for those as well. So let's take a look and see if that's what we need to do. And yes, we do. This looks very similar to the other one, but take a look at it. The labels and things are different. And again, these will allow it to select the right resources to apply the service to. And that's why the metadata matters. Like these labels and this metadata really matters in Kubernetes because it's just using that to select and know what to modify it. So we're gonna create this. We're moving extra fast. This is great. Redis slave service .yaml. I'm gonna paste that on in there. The YAML looks the same. Scene. Okay, let's take a look at what we have again. Let's take a look at all of our stuff individually. Clear this out. Let's do kube cuddle or kube control get deployment. We've got our master. We've got our slave, which has 2. There's 2 slave instances or 2 slave pods or replicas. 1 master replica. All of them are up to date. All of them are available, and it shows the time up. Yep, definitely not touching that one. What are slaves? Not touching it. Not today. Getting invalid error code. Okay, so there is an error code. I'll give you guys the code in the general channel of the Discord before we're done. But yes, the slaves here are just basically read replicas. So again, one gets read write. The master can be written to. You don't, for databases and things like this, it's hard to keep them in sync. So you need some things to not be writable and only readable to serve more people. And so that's what those serve as a read replica basically of these things. So we check that. We can also go with the pods. We can check our pods. These are the container kind of container pods. It could be one or more containers. It could be more than just one container. But right now they're specified with one. So you can see those are running. And we can see our services, which are proxies and our connectors. Check that out. That's why it shows ports and things like that, IP addresses. And last but not least, what about our replica sets? And it shows our various replica sets, which, as you can see, do in fact coincide with kind of the amounts and the things that are in our pods, which makes perfect sense. That's great. Excellent. We're looking good. We've got those things set up. Now it says we want to go ahead and we've kind of got the backend set up. We have the backend databases basically all set up for us to kind of use, for us to be able to push data into. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to grab the front end of this now. We're going to grab this. We're going to take a look at it. This is the actual Guestbook application. Again, it's just deployed from an image that they already have for us. Don't worry about the app. We're just going to look at the YAML, break it down a bit, and deploy this as well. You already should be getting comfortable with kind of deploying files in Kubernetes. You may not know what they're doing or how to write them, but you know that, hey, I can use, kube control apply to go ahead and apply these files that have been given to me, that I can give, to Kubernetes to go ahead and set the state that I defined. So let's copy this and let's see if we can get our front end deployed. Copy it. Let's look at it, break it down. What do they call it? Front end development, deployment. Is deployment? Yep. Front end deployment.yaml. So vim front end dash, there we go. Deployment.yaml. Nope, I think it's just YML. Paste this in. Okay, let's take a look at this. Again, not much different, but let's start. We've seen it more and more, so we can dive into it just a little more. Our API version is, apps v1. We've seen that, and the kind is a deployment. That's great. We know exactly what kind of resource this is. We know where we should be able to see this when we need to get information. We know where to look for that. New name, metadata, front end. We're calling it front end, and the label of this is going to be Guestbook. So we should be able to see this at app Guestbook. The spec, the selector, match labels is going to be app Guestbook front end. So it needs to, these things need to match this here. So replicas 3, that's one more than we're used to. We've had one replica set, 2 replica sets, and now 3 replica sets. 3 replica sets means how many pods? It means 3 pods. So pretty simple. 3 replica sets equals 3 pods. What's up, Dis 105? Welcome to the channel. Glad to see you here tonight. Cool. And here's our template, same thing. And then you can see our containers here. They call this PHP Redis. I don't really like that they're calling it PHP Redis, only because I think that's a little bit confusing since we're using Redis for one thing. I think they're calling it this because the PHP is this is a PHP container that's going to be connecting to Redis. We can change the name of that if we want, and I can show you that later, but don't sweat it. We'll stop there. We'll just leave it there for now. We'll modify everything in a little bit after we get everything set up. We specify the image here that they've already got somewhere for us inside of this registry. And the same thing, requests, the CPU, memory, and this has some environment variables as well. And you can see here, this is running on port 80. We know that port 80 is in fact the web port. So we'll go ahead and we'll get this shot on out there. So it's just something, so we have something to reference. Let's do an all. All right, so we have that to look at. Let's go ahead and deploy that file. So how do we apply it? I just told you how we do it. What's up, Viera01? Viera01. How you doing? Welcome to the channel. So glad to have you. Feels so good. Just every night feels like a follow train now. The love. Like it feels really good. So Q, CTL, apply, and the name of that file. I completely already forgot the name of the file. So I'll hit tab twice to give me my, to tell me what I have available to me. Front end, deployment.yaml is what we called it. And oh, why didn't that work? Let's read our errors. Let's read our command line errors. I forgot something important. You must specify either a -F or -K. We know that we've been using -F to specify what file we're going to be passing in. I don't know what -K is for. I have to be 100% honest with you. We can check that out in a second. But it looks like that worked. So we can reference up here. We can run another all. And now look at what's, you can see it being created. So we know that it's deploying. So we did a deployment, which is the front end. And it says 0 already because it's waiting. It's waiting for them to get into a ready state. It's deploying up here. You know, you can see these three getting ready. The replica set is right here. Desired 3, current 3, ready 0 because they're still spinning up. So again, just good information. And if we run it again, we can now see that all of them are ready now. We can see that all of them are running now. And you know, they've been running for 39 seconds. Really nice. Again, we're just spitting out a bunch of stuff. So you can see now how, you know, using a cube control get all will be super confusing, you know, as you add more and more and more. If you're running something that has 100 replica sets, which is common, very common, it can be very confusing. So there's some other tools to kind of manage this and understand this, but these are the basics you should definitely kind of get down for this. Old sysadmin, DevOps engineer, love watching others learn and teach. Great, I'll stop in. Awesome, welcome. It's good to have you. I'm also an old sysadmin. That's where I started my career. That's where I started everything. I sometimes I catch myself reverting back to my old ways, which sometimes I think are fun, and I kind of miss it sometimes. But yes, just I've been spending a lot of time lately picking up new things and learning new things, and hopefully sharing the good work, sharing the good book, which is tech to everybody. But yeah, it's good to have you. Thanks for stopping through. I really appreciate it. What's up, Jumping Worm? Good to see you. Always like the familiar names, also like the new names as well. Yeah, it always gets so exciting. It's like sitting in the house with your friends, and then someone else comes in and you're like, "Hey, welcome. Good to see you." Okay, so we got 3 things going. We got the Redis master. We've got the Redis backups. Maybe I'll stop saying slaves. We got the Redis backups. Maybe we got the and we have the front end containers. I don't know. We got the 3 front end containers now. But remember, we did the Redis deployments for both. And what did those need? Those needed services to proxy things for the to the front end, or not even to the front end, to proxy traffic to those things. The front end also does in fact need a proxy. So we're gonna need to set up a service for that front end. So let's see if they give us that information here. Oh yes, I forgot to show you this. This is actually really important. This is great, very important. Actually, I wanted to segue right into this. That's why I was saying, look at how many things are here. Look how many things are like in the list. You can actually start to use different parameters to kind of query what you're looking for here. So I can actually do I should actually be able to do an all as well. And I can check things that are, you know, that have a label of app equals guestbook, and will only give me those things back, but also the tier being the front end. So that gives us these things in the replica set. So you can start to query what you want from this. So if you're looking for very specific information about certain, you know, pods or services, and there's a bunch running, you can use these query parameters to be able to figure those things out, which is super duper nice. Is Kube overkill for this use case? Absolutely. Kubernetes is overkill for most use cases. Yes, it is. For for sure. But at the same time, it may not be if literally hundreds of thousands of people were using this guestbook. Maybe it wouldn't be. Maybe it wouldn't be a bad use case. But for this, it's not a great use case at all. Certainly overkill. This is not how I would host it. Other people say follower leader now. Okay, all right, I'll use that one. That's good. Follower leader. I like that. I like that a lot. Nginx. We're not using Nginx right now for this. It's using like a PHP front end. Well, maybe it is. I actually have no idea what's in that container at all. Maybe we can find out in a second. Allspark and Primes is better. That sounds that sounds like Transformers to me. Allspark and Primes is better. Allspark sounds like what they were looking for in that's something they were looking for. that sounds like what's that show? Transformers. It sounds like Transformers. It is. I see. I'm catching on to the trolling. I'm catching on to it. Okay, it's for customization. Kind customization. Okay. Let's you hit multiple namespaces in one file. I think I knew that. I think I've seen that done before. I've never had to do it myself. I haven't worked with Kubernetes a ton in production or like in a production level things. So yeah. At what number of containers or some functionality does it make it useful? That gets really tough. It's a great question that I don't have a good one for. Definitely enough containers to where the problem is that there are stepping stones to get here. Again, there are other orchestration services like ECS. There's a few at Swarm, a few other ones that would actually make a medium number of container instances actually easier to work with. But I would honestly say once you're having to get to managing more than maybe, depending on the size, how much you're giving to them, honestly, I would almost say as low as 10 or 15 containers. You might want to start looking at it. Again, only because of its ease of use. Because of managed services, if you have the money to do it, if your company has the money to do it, if you have the money to do it, I actually think it's fine. I think it's really expensive. The overhead and the cognitive load of it can be a little difficult, but I have found even medium level container management troublesome with some of these weaker services, non-feature rich services. Again, ECS is not the best. Swarm is not the best. Kubernetes is, I mean, it may not be perfect, but it's the best. It really is, to be 100% honest. It does the management so much better. The way it deploys, we haven't even talked about rolling deployments yet and stuff. We're going to talk about that. That's all going to come shortly. We're going to talk about how, if you had to make a change, how it can, roll through deployments and kind of do, a container pod at a time, and if that breaks in the middle, it can roll back for you automatically, and like there's a lot of great things you have. I think it has to do more so with the makeup of your team, familiarity of it, and then money. Money is a big one. Money is a huge one. Money is a really big one. But yeah. Oh yeah, like you just threw it out there. I really didn't see that. Quick synopsis, what are we doing? We are learning Kubernetes. We're using Minikube to deploy a PHP like guestbook application. We're almost done with it. To just deploy it to Kubernetes, that's using a Redis backend, I guess, in-memory kind of database with a follower leader setup, leader-follower setup. That's pretty cool. I'm going to remember that. That's good. But that's basically what we're doing. Super quick synopsis. Just learning Kubernetes. We're just focusing on the different aspects of Kubernetes, trying to learn the different pieces, not trying to be Kubernetes pros. Assuming you already have Kubernetes skills to manage it, do you recommend Kubernetes for everyone? Or everyone's, yeah, I mean, yes, yes. I do, because Kubernetes is actually very because of namespacing, you don't need to have a whole like production cluster. You can use that entire cluster. It's a platform. It's a platform it's a platform. So you can use it to do a ton. Like you can utilize it to solve a lot of your problems. Assuming you have the skills to already management, then yes, I do. I do say that. OpenShift is OpenShift is a platform. It's kind of like, I'm pretty sure OpenShift is just like, what's the big one? The other big one, the one that all of the people in the Air Force use, Pivotal Cloud Foundry. OpenShift is a container. It's a container orchestrator. It's a platform. It's a platform as a service though. But yeah, it's Kubernetes basically. Yeah, OpenShift uses K8s, APIs, as well as some APIs. It's at least I've pretty much only seen it used as a type of kind of platform orchestrator. I don't know if you've seen it used as something different, Vieira, but that's the only way I've seen it used. But cool, yes, you can query these things like this. Let's go ahead and let's see if we can get the front end service installed. So because it's the front end, and we're gonna get the service installed, that's going to basically set up the proxy for us to access it. We actually are going to get to, I'll show you. We'll get to check it out actually via the front end. So we'll actually be able to, whoa, I did not mean to paste it there. All right, we're gonna call this front end service.yaml, front end service.yml. Okay, so let's take a look at this, and it's a little bit different. This is really the only thing that you want to care about right now. Same stuff that you've already seen. Port 80, it's going to run on port 80. But what you can see here is it's going to, the type is actually this node port. The other type is load balancer. This is going to determine the routing and how things are kind of set up, whether or not it's going to set up URLs for us via the load balancer or through node ports. But we'll see this live. I'll set it up this way first, do node port first, and then I'll set it up using load balancer afterwards. So let's do that. Let's apply that. So we're doing a service. So we should see get services. We should see our services go up by one. We have Redis master. Oh, did we never actually do one for? We never did this service. Let's do this first. Thought we did. Oh, we never added did we never add the -f? Okay, so that's there. And then obviously we need to do the front end service. And if we check our services again, now we have the Redis master or the leader, the Redis follower, and the front end, and it's through node port. And so this is just going to determine how we can access this. So how do we now access this? We can check it through, getting the URL through the node port. So we're gonna copy this. Minikube is actually, because we're using Minikube, we have to go through this way. Because Minikube is kind of doing some networking with your VM and your host machine and some interesting connections there. Now, just notice we're switching over. This is not a cube control command. This is a Minikube command. And we're gonna do Minikube service. So we're specifying services. Oh no, hold on one second. Nope. I built my own keyboard, but it's a hot swap keyboard. It's a hot swap mechanical keyboard, and for some reason, my shift key.
The key just came out, bro.
My shift key came out.
You're a little too hot, man. Going too hard.
Oh no.
Going hard in the paint.
Leave you stinking. Hold on. It's gonna bother me if I don't get this in here right. Give me a second. I gotta take the keycap off.
Guys, this is what happens when you're typing with such passion. This is actually fascinating to watch.
I mean, we're in there.
It's in there?
It's in there.
There you go.
I don't know how we know. Actually, before I put the key on, type W, capital W.
There you
it
go.
Works. This is why you should solder, guys. Like, you should learn how to get a soldering iron. We in there. All right. Whoa. Sticky keys, no. All right. So this will give us the front end URL. So Minikube service, so we know what a service is. We're gonna specify services here. The service that we're looking for is the front end service. So that's why this says front end right here. And dash URL says, hey, go ahead and give us that URL, Minikube. So it goes ahead and gives us this. This is, again, an IP address that comes through the networking of our virtual machine and the port that they give to us. We click on there, and we got a good old Guestbook going. We got our application here. I'm gonna type in Aaron because Aaron B is here. We're guests. Let's type in some other people's names in the chat. You guys are all here. K, I can't type. I'm gonna spell everyone's name wrong because I'm not gonna look at it hard because everything's little on my screen. 0827. You're here. You're here. You're a guest. Who else is here? Obviously, Live Coding's here in the guest book. So when I'm actually hitting submit, this is actually going into the Redis kind of in-memory database here. If I was actually to start this over, it would actually go away. Sharkbait, not gonna type your whole name. Sharkbait's in here. Vieira, we're all here. Look at all the people. Stephen Yeet, come on, can't forget about you. Yeet. All right. So we got a couple people in here. I'm sorry, I'm tired of typing people's names. All right, that fast. But this is our guest book. It's a simple PHP application that goes ahead and sticks these things out on the page. But it looks like all the pieces are now in order. But let's take a look. Whoa, let's take a look down at what we have, and just take a look at everything that's running. There's a lot of stuff running to just give us this little thing here. So kubectl get all, and now we got a lot of stuff. We got our various replica sets, we have our various deployments, we have our various services all set up to run. Now, here are some great things about Kubernetes in our last 15 minutes or so. One, you can immediately scale any of these replica sets, which is super duper nice, super duper easy to do. Hold on 1 second, just gotta remove this pop up. What happened? Sorry, my main computer's being all weird. All right, cool. So we can actually scale up and scale down these things. So let's say for our front end, we wanted more replica sets or we wanted more followers. You could use cube control to actually do that. So you can do scale dash. Was it replicas? I think it's replicas. I think you give it the number. So right now it is set to, if we're gonna use the front end app, it's set to 3. Let's give it 10. Let's take it to 10. And then you can either do the application or the name of the file and what you use to pass these things in. So basically I'm gonna pass in the deployment of the front end. So front end deployment.yaml. And look how fast it says it went scaled. So we know these are pods. So if we do control get pods, not OEDs, pods, not PIDs, pods. Okay, now look at this. I now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different I've scaled that up now to have 10 different pods here. So it was that easy. I was able to add resources to this cluster super duper easily, like crazy easy, wasn't hard at all. And I can also do the same thing. I can actually scale it down if I want, no problem. I can do this with all of them. I can scale it all the way back down to 1 if I want. And now when you click on it, you'll start to see that all of them are terminating except for this one. So it's super nice to be able to easily do that, to scale up and down. And again, a lot of places you won't be most of the time, you won't be manually doing stuff like this, or you will, and then going back and changing these things inside of the YAML that you've written to kind of, make sure you guys have what you need. But there's also scaling that can happen automatically. There's a bunch of things that goes into this. There's like infinitely more options to make the management of this easier for you. A lot of things can happen automatically, but it's super nice. You can see it just that fast. all those pods are gone. I can easily scale back up to whatever I want to scale. Really nice and easy. That's great. We will talk about deploying in a second. Let's see. Are these streams uploaded anywhere or saved? Yes, they are on YouTube. Looks like you got that. Appreciate that. All of them go up there at the end of the week, though. I was trying to do them nightly, but I don't know. I still have a day job, so it's too much. So I do them once the week is over. I upload the entire week. Both these and the Python Bootcamp, I upload those to YouTube, so they're all there. They're in a playlist. They're in a DevOps Intro to DevOps Bootcamp playlist on there. So just head over to that channel and you should see them. Imperative versus declarative. So here we declare what we want. This is declarative YAML. We're declaring the state that we want, declarative state management. Basically we put those things in here, but we don't necessarily tell Kubernetes how to make that happen. We just say, hey, we want 3 of these things. We need it to be labeled with this. We need all these things. We don't care how it happens. It just needs to happen. And it interprets those things and gets it all set up for us, as opposed to imperative, where if we would be a little more, we would have to be more obvious about what we're doing. We would have to tell it, hey, spin these things down and set this thing to this. And we'd have to give it an imperative order there. So that is, this is declarative state management. So these templates are declarative, as have been most of, I think, everything that we've done. Terraform's like that, and so is Ansible on the same hand. Oh yes, they are. They do also stay here on the Twitch page for 2 weeks. If I ever make partner, one day I'll make partner, but whenever I make partner, I think they stay first. I think you have the option to keep them for longer, like 60 days or something. If you're partner. We're just lowly affiliates right now. I really, it's not important. I don't care at all. Really don't care. But yeah, I just thought it was weird, because I was like, well, why would, I feel like smaller channels are the ones that should get longer time. Exactly. I feel like partners, like people are watching your stuff every day. Like, they don't need to rewatch your stuff. Like, you put out content like every day but I don't care. It really doesn't matter to me. But all right, so another great thing about Kubernetes, again, is these deployments. So let's say I don't have a way to do this properly, but let's say you have a pipeline set up, and let's say that the front end gets a new version. Deployment.yaml gets a new version. Maybe it goes, this image is now v5 instead of v4. Now I can't deploy this because there's no v5. Or at least not that I know of. But what it makes really nice is kind of zero downtime deployments for, depending on how your application is set up, almost always is zero. You can achieve zero downtime deployments. And what you can do is it'll go through, it does a little bit of a quorum, and it will start to rolling release your new containers and updating your pods accordingly, making sure your application is up and running. It'll make sure, so if I'm supposed to have 20 pods, 20 replica sets set up, it'll start to deploy to 1. And it'll make sure that comes up good and nice and responding appropriately, and then move on to the next and move on to the next, so that it knows your applications are good, and so that you have 20 of these things serving at a time. So yes, some people coming in will start to get your new application, some will continue to get your old application, but it'll run through and it'll start to deploy. Again, if something happens during that process, if it gets to number 8 and for some reason it took this long for something to happen, and number 8 cannot properly deploy, Kubernetes is smart enough to say, all right, well, I know which ones I've done so far. I know this isn't working. I cannot move forward. Let me go ahead and let's roll on back automatically. And you can go ahead, it'll go ahead and it'll replace those containers with the old version, which is actually very, very valuable. I don't know if anyone's ever managed systems before. It's super valuable to kind of get that functionality right out of the box. Makes you feel better about deploying things. It allows you to move a little bit faster, because you can be a little bit riskier. You can accept a little more risk, in your deployments. It's not that as big of a deal as kind of things used to be, which is really nice. I think you can pause and you can resume deployments as well. Risque? Sure. Yeah. Yep. You could be more risque for sure. You can take more. You can assume more risk, and you can be a little more risque because you've assumed more risk. It all works. All of it works all together. So the deployments are what I like out of it. Replication is great. Yeah, I think that is. I'm just looking at the thing here. You can manually port forward things rather than exposing the server to kind of set the proxying, but we're not going to talk about that tonight. But you basically have all of the features available to you that you have for Docker. You kind of have available to you in some way in Kubernetes. But let's talk about how to clean these things up now. So you get it running. Everything's great. If I refresh the page, it actually stays there because of the Redis instance that is here. Super duper nice. Again, a dumb app, but it is an app nonetheless that has multiple pieces. So, as long as you can get devs to understand the no breaking rollbacks due to schema modifications rule, yes, that's true. That is 100% true. I agree with that. So now, what is the? Let me see if I'm missing anything from the guide, since this is something you can go back to. So we got the response, and this was using node port. We can view it. Let's do this real quick. Let's view it using the load balancer instead. The way that we get it to do that is in the front end deployment. Not the front end deployment. In the front end service. Remember, the front end service is what sets up that proxy. It says basically comment or delete the following line if you want to use the load balancer. So I'll delete that line and I'll redeploy this -f front end service.yaml. Oh no, when type is cluster IP. Oh, whoops. Oh, I actually might have to actually retract that or remove that. Interesting. Let's do that real quick. So let's remove the service. Yeah, let's remove the service real quick. I think to remove it, I can just delete it, I believe. Yeah, there we go. Front end deleted. And then I think I can reapply it. That pretty simple. And that should now give us the same thing. If we take a look at get service, take a look at that service again. Remember before the type was actually node port for front end, and now it is in fact the cluster IP. Actually may not be able to get to this using the load balancer, to be honest. And it's basically going to tell us copy the external IP. I don't, and there is none. Based on the settings that we give it. That is why they use node port by default, because the way that the load balancer networking works out with the with Minikube in particular. We did not get that, so it's actually we can't actually access it this way. But no big deal. We've already seen it. Don't really need to see it right now. Yeah, if this was this had like an X window or something, we'd probably curl it from inside of the virtual machine. I doubt we can. Well, we might be able to curl it from here. Well, this is a whole cluster IP, so this is not going to work. But I just want to see what happens. Yeah, didn't think that was going to work. It shouldn't have worked, but you know, YOLO. If you're not 100% sure, just check it on out. You could cast to int. Always cast to int, then cast back to string, cast to int again, and then to whatever you need finally. But yeah, you need an ingress service, which we can talk about. No, we're not gonna talk about ingresses tonight. But I did not think for a default. I can't remember what we set up already. But yes, I would need an ingress controller to kind of get basically create that route out to what I needed to go. No need to set that up. We've kind of seen it work. Just want to show you that there's two different ways to do that. You have no port, and you have your load balancer to do that. We talked about scaling. So I use the file to scale. So I said scale replicas-f in the name of the file that we used to deploy it. I could have also just called I could have called the deployment that we cared about and deployed it that way. Super easy to do. Yeah, scale that, and then you just clean things up. So you can use delete like we just did, and you can use some of these query parameters to do this. So basically, we're gonna clean up a deployment that has a label of app that is Redis. So you can do that. I could just kill them all. Typed on wrong keyboard. And I just go through and I can just remove all these. And deployment guestbook. Actually, I wonder if will just run both of these for me. Front end. And so if we do a get all, again, we still have those set up because I did not delete those. And I don't know why it didn't tell us to delete these. Service, deployment. Oh, because they were tagged. Delete deployment. Guestbook. Service. What are these? Pods. Deployment. Redis. No resources found. What do these have? Let's take a look at that file real quick. I just want to check something. I thought I should delete those from front end. No, not front end. Redis. These are the slave deployment. What did it tag these as? App equals Redis. That should be right. Interesting. Should have deleted those. It should have deleted them. Isn't Redis for caching? Yes, Redis is in fact for caching. But why didn't it? Oh, they're terminating. They are terminating. Never mind. They're just not done yet. I was like, it should have caught those, but they were actually terminating still. Cool. So now everything is now spun down. So everything we spun up is now spun down, and this is just our default Kubernetes service. And if we want to spin them all back up again, remember, just like that Docker compose up, we could go ahead and we could kick off all of those commands. Yes, you could use memcached as well. Similar paradigm. They're kind of used to solve similar problems. But Kubernetes might be hard to get good experience with outside of your job. It is. Kubernetes is difficult to get good experience with outside of your job. That is why I don't think Kubernetes cert is necessary, because most people don't like. Most people are okay with people coming in like, hey, I know, you know, I understand the concept of pods, and I understand the concept of services, understand the concepts of, you know, deployments, things like that. Like I've messed around with it. It's a pretty new technology. And people don't know how to use it well yet. It's been adopted by everyone without being, I think, fully vetted. But like, again, I think it's a great tool. But it is absolutely difficult. And that is why we are going to be doing a full 8 hour. We're going to be doing a full 8 hour. I might actually make it into 2 weeks. I actually make it into 16 hours. But a full Kubernetes course where we're actually both Dockerizing an app and kind of making it scalable with Kubernetes, just to get some practice with it. I think it'll be valuable for me too. It was valuable in trying to think of a scenario which this could work with. But more information will be coming about that very soon. It'll take place between the end of this bootcamp and the start of the next boot camps, which will start in like May. I will be streaming in between. I'll be doing various like smaller workshops. And so maybe I can extend, I have time in there to kind of mess around with. So maybe I'll extend it to make it a little bit bigger, but it is in fact difficult to get some good Kubernetes experience like on your own. It's hard to have a use case to use it. And it's learning how to manage it. Mostly it's really interesting. But yeah, I'm actually proud of us. We got done right in the 2 hour mark. Just about. Does anyone have any questions?
Oh, it's over?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, we went the tutorial. Like you can't go that deep into Kubernetes in the time that we have. So like, okay. So Helm is like a package manager. It makes it easy to deploy things in Kubernetes. Most people are using Helm to help manage their Kubernetes. you can set up these Helm charts. And so yes, it is a package manager. Again, think about the package managers in Linux, things like your apt or your yum, or in JavaScript or Node.js, you have your npm. It is a package manager for you to be able to get services and things pretty easily. So you set up these Helm charts, and these Helm charts make it easy to set up these tools, different tools that you would want to use. You can grab these Helm charts for them, and you can just quickly deploy them into your Kubernetes cluster, which is really, really nice. Airflow chart is what we're using. I don't even know I just click on it. I don't even know. Yep, great. I have no idea what this is. Platform to programmatically author, schedule, and monitor workflows. Maybe we can use this. But Helm is something that you should be checking out if you're trying to learn Kubernetes. A lot of people are using Helm because it makes it easy to kind of administer your applications, different tools and things that you want to use. They're great. Helm is pretty, from what I've seen, Helm is pretty cool. I don't have a ton of Helm experience, but from what I've seen, it's really cool, really easy to use. But that's what Helm is. I deal with Helm Kubernetes at work. Why do they call it Kubernetes? And I don't know. No idea. What's up, Fitzhawk? Thank you for the Twitch Prime sub. Thank you so much. Second month, so you've been a part of the family. Thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying it. I also hope everyone gives me some. I hope everyone can join in during the. On the 27th, we're going to do a retro for both boot camps. I really want everyone, if you can, if you have a little bit of time, just drop some notes so we can talk about again what was good, what was bad. But yeah, I appreciate the love, appreciate the support. Yeah, March 27th. It's on the. Unfortunately, I put it on the. I didn't realize I didn't put it on the DevOps side of things. I only put it on the Python things. It's a Friday, so it'll be like. It'll be chill. It's not important. We'll just kind of talk about what went on, what we liked, what we didn't like, what we could change, so that every iteration is better than the last. It's always gonna be tough for us to be perfect, but we can things that were fun, we can make it more fun. We can make things more fun. We can do the things that people enjoy, that people got out of things. There's a lot that I did not get to do that I wanted to do just for time reasons, but again, like I said, sometime this year that will change. I will be doing this full time, or not necessarily just the academy full time, but we'll be working on Mastermind full time. So it'll give me time to do all the things that I want to incorporate into the academy specifically. So I'll have that time. So nothing's gonna hurt my feelings at all, not even a little bit. Cool. You should add a link to Mastermind IO in your Twitch bio. I did. Yes. I'm still learning about Twitch, honestly. I just learned about emotes, and I knew about emotes, but I just learned that you had your own and you could do cool stuff. But yes, I'll definitely be. I'll get to that. I'll get to it. I'll definitely get to it. But first thing I'll do is I'll get you all, everyone who joined, give me 5 minutes. I'm gonna I'm gonna grab whatever codes are needed for the classroom, and I'm gonna repin them to the Discord, and I'll let you know. I'll add the whole channel once I do that, just so that you have them there. But that's it for tonight. That's the end of the container section. It was a lot. I know it was a lot. Don't trip if you're still lost. It took me a while to get containers. Kubernetes is certainly an advanced topic. But hopefully you learned enough to kind of start diving into it yourself. Hopefully you learned enough to talk about it a little bit, to have some conversations about containers a little bit, but to give you enough to kind of dive deeper yourself. Next week, we got some CI/CD with Circle CI, so we'll be setting up these build pipelines that you've probably heard of. If you're using Jenkins, this will be familiar to you. But we'll be doing it pretty quickly with Circle. Pretty easy, pretty fun. Again, that'll be hands-on. More YAML. It's all done through YAML with Circle CI. I wasn't gonna use GitHub Actions. It's very similar, but I still have not been able to get GitHub Actions to work properly. Then, be 100% honest with you, we'll go to observability. It's a bit boring. I might actually move observability up some next time. because in comparison to the other things that we do before, it's a little bit boring. But then we got the engineering panel. We actually have 2 of them. One's on March 22nd, so that's Sunday, and then we'll also have one for the Python channel, Python Bootcamp on the 25th. So it'll be a Sunday and a Wednesday. There will be different people on those panels. There will be software engineers and DevOps engineers in both. So one won't be purely about DevOps, one won't be purely about software engineering. They'll have some insights of both. There probably will be some non-technical people there as well, Scrum Masters, project managers, things just to kind of talk about how all these things fit together as well, because I think that is important. Then we'll learn how to, conquer the interview process. We'll, go through some questions. We'll talk about how you can, how you can really win, even if you're still picking up the knowledge, how you can learn how to talk about the things that you know, how you can learn how to express what it is that you've learned so far, what you're learning, what you're excited about. We'll talk about that and what you should expect, all of that. And maybe I'm actually trying to get someone like a DevOps hiring manager to kind of join in to give some tips. I do help hire our DevOps engineers here when the time accounts for it, but we'll see with that. Yes, these do go on YouTube at the end of the week, and again, you can grab them from there. But they do all of them up to now. Every week up to now is on there. This week's will go up tomorrow or Thursday as well. So yep, but you can watch them on Twitch until then. Data Center at 10 East Baltimore. That's like 3 or 4. This outlines down the road from you. Yeah, there's like a surprising amount of data centers around here. So Lexington Market, I used to actually work at a data center on the weekends. That was like at Lexington Market. Like you had to walk up an alley to get through the door. Pretty interesting.
You saw some stuff.
I saw the impeccable balance.
Stuff, bro.
The impeccable,
the
impeccable Baltimore balance.
The lean,
yes. The Baltimore lean. It is a wonder. It is a wonder. But cool, Dr. Bala, thank you again for the sub. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. But cool. Who's on? Let's see who's on tonight. We're gonna raid somebody. Who do we got? Who is streaming?
Somebody low.
Who's streaming in the particularly this channel? What's up, DFNKT? Awesome. Thank you for the follow. I used to work for a company called Elements of Back around YCK. Are these classes that you go over in your stream? Yes. Yes, these are in fact classes. This is a 12-week boot camp for DevOps. We do a Python one on Mondays and Wednesdays as well. So if you head over to academy.mastermind.io, it is in fact the curriculums for. How do I get out of here? That. I have not seen the meme about the creation of Docker. If you have a link to it, I would love to see it. But yes, Umbraso, that's what these are. This is just what we've been going over. We're coming to the end of this iteration. They run like these boot camps will be running. There will be more boot camps actually, and they'll be running throughout the year. So don't sweat it. You can also catch them on YouTube if you missed them. All links allowed without permit. Yeah, I think so. I think you can post most links just fine. See, yeah, look at that. Oh yeah, this is good. Hold on, let me copy this. I have seen this one, but this is about the creation of Docker. So the common problem we talked about when we got to Docker was it works on my machine, then we'll ship your machine, and that's how Docker was born. That is essentially what happened. It was like if it works on your machine, then that's what we should ship, because if I try to put it on my machine, it won't work. That's good. That's really good actually, especially because I've seen this work so many times. Like I've seen code work. I've worked with people developing on their machine, and it'd be great, and us move it to a development or staging environment, and nothing worked. It'd be like extra broken. It's like, well, I did what I could do. Yeah. Like it's a terrible paradigm. Yeah. So if you complete the boot camp, you're a junior DevOps engineer. Not really. That's a hard. It's a good question.
Probe though, yeah.
It's a good probe. I would say not yet. I would say that we are working towards making it so that these are legitimate bootcamp experiences. Again, I think it's something that we can do once I'm full time. I think it's something I can do 100%. That's what we're working towards. Like the classroom stuff right now is not really what we want it to be. Like I think we can make a legitimate run at real $18,000 to $20,000 a year boot camps, because I've actually enrolled in some just to kind of see what they offered, and I was not impressed at all. I think that the information takes time to make, but I think with the right resources, it's pretty easy to do. And again, I think education at scale can cover that. Like I think education is scalable, so like I don't need $18,000 from each of you to do this. If a couple of you give me $5, then I'm good. And so that's kind of the idea behind this. But also, again, we're actually going to be using other methods to cater to this, to kind of live off of. So just having some fun with it. See your vids posted on subreddits. I've been randomly seeing little posts on different subreddits. Nice. And yeah, it's been exciting. It's been really exciting to see the discoverability of stuff like this. I think it's pretty fun. We're gonna test. Yeah, prod parity. It's really nice. Like once we know containers are good, like in our master integration environment, I'm fully confident that they can go through the rest of the pipeline. Exactly. No problem. Let's see. This is like a DevOps survey course. Yeah, good basic knowledge into. Yes, it's more right now. It's more of a DevOps survey course. So, I will tell you this. The intro to cloud computing with AWS will be starting in May. That will absolutely be that will 100% be a career-ready course. You finish that course successfully, you do the work that's associated with it, you will be ready for a cloud job in 12 weeks. Wow. If you can get through that. 100%. And then the next iteration of the DevOps course, which is probably going to run around the same time, is going to be fully project based. So instead of going over the topics, we surveyed over them now, but putting them into action to the next one is what we're going to be doing. And the completion of that should put you to where, like if you were starting from scratch at the beginning of this one, I think that would then put you into a place where you could be considered like a junior DevOps engineer, just because there's so many topics that kind of go into DevOps. But yeah, but cool. All right. Thanks everyone for sticking around, for hanging out with me tonight. Tonight was good. I'm kind of sad to be getting to the end of the container section. Because I do really like containers. They're a little more fun in action. We will be building some containers during the Circle portion of this, or on the Circle CI portion of on Sunday. We'll be building some containers throughout that pipeline process. We'll also be doing some automated deployments to S3 and deploying some static websites. You'll see a bunch of different options for that as well. So let's check out. Anybody have any recommendations for who we can raid tonight? I don't see anyone I know of. So let's hit somebody extra random. Extra random. Absolutely. Everybody have a good night. 88 Opus, good to see you. Have a good night. Adam, I'll see you soon, Adam. from what someone told me today, I'll see you soon. I think you actually told us. But thank you. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate the time. Appreciate you spending time. Cool. RXW Raw, I'll take that. We will
about to rate him too.
You said LOL, so I think it's gonna be funny, but we're gonna do it anyway. Right. We're gonna do it. Oh, it's public? Cool. If it's public, I'll see you. I'll see you soon. That's super exciting. Actually, while you're on here, since you'll be here, do you want to be on one of the 2 engineering panels? We'd love to have you. We'd love to have you on one of the engineering panels since you'll be here. Yes. Don't have to give me an answer now. You can check with your family, see if you can stay that late because it's from 8 to 10. But if you want, I would love to have you on one of the 2 engineering panels. Yeah. So just let me know. All right, we're heading over to RWX Rob. Cool, excellent. That makes me excited. Let them know I said hi. I have no idea who this person is. I'm sorry if they say anything that says something wild to you. He's gonna work at Fearless too. Yeah, yes, it's public now. Yeah,
Sounds open.
that's awesome. Super excited. I'm pretty excited about it. It makes me pretty happy. Yeah, definitely. Congrats, man. That's. Who told us today? Alex. Alex told us today. So cool. Oh, what's up, time traveler? Greetings from Baltimore. No, that's awesome. Sorry you're catching us at the end. We're actually about to raid someone's channel. But cool. I actually got to get out of here and do some work. So let's let it's for mature audiences only. So that's my warning to you. That's what it just says for mature audiences. I'm not responsible for whatever this person says or does. Dude. I'm not. Let's have some fun. Peace out.
There's gonna be some wild stuff, man.